Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into the channel. This week I want to talk to you about the proper setup between your peep and scope when you're using a slider sight. I get guys that come back in that want to build sight tapes, and no matter what we do, their sight tapes always seem to be off. One of the biggest problems I see with that is actually back to the anchor position when you're at full draw, depending on what distance you have your sight slid to and set to. So right now I'm going to have Blake go ahead and draw back for me here. So this is something I want you guys to check at home. So Blake, when you get to full draw there, get anchored, how does your sight picture, how does that peep land around your scope?
Perfect.
Okay, good sight picture there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do while Blake's at full draw, I'm going to take his sight and I'm going to slide it down to represent a much farther shot. And what you're going to watch Blake do is the front half of his body, this position is not going to change. What Blake's going to do is take his nose up the bowstring. How's that sight picture look right there?
Perfect.
Okay, now don't move. I'm going to move this sight back up to the top. And what I want you guys to watch is Blake's nose position on the bowstring here. So as I roll this back up to a shorter distance, see how Blake had to make a micro adjustment. So go ahead and break a shot for me there. Perfect. So when it comes to shooting distance with your slider sight and getting super accurate sight tapes, what I've noticed is as guys start to slide their sight down to a farther distance, a lot of times they're going to take the front half of this bow and they're moving this arm slightly, and that creates a lot of problems with accuracy. It'll constantly feel like your sight tapes are never perfectly accurate to long distance. So the best thing to do is, regardless if you have your sight, say, set to 20 yards or even 120 yards, with your peep sight in the rear, as this moves down, what you want to do is actually take your nose, move it up the bowstring slightly. It doesn't matter the distance, but your peep always has to center your housing and your halo here. And the other thing that we see a lot of times when me and Blake are working with customers that come in, it seems like their sight tapes always seem to get a little bit, hitting a little higher the farther distance they get. What's happening a lot of times is guys are putting the target on the ground. And if I was to draw my bow and anchor and I put the target on the ground, instead of drawing and anchoring and using your hips to come down to the target, they're starting here and they're dropping their bow arm down. The moment you drop your arm down, it's going to change the geometry of your peep sight to your eye. And a lot of times it'll cause you to hit high on all those shots. So guys will come in and will look at their sight tapes and go, man, the gap from 40 to 50 is this, but how's the gap from 50 to 60 tighter? And 60 to 70 is even tighter. So it has a lot to do with how they're sighting in their bow. But always start with a good, strong form. This arm does not move up and down whatsoever. The upper body stays locked. If the target is below or above that center line, you're going to use your hips to pivot up or down. And then depending on what distance you're setting your sight to, instead of moving this arm at all, the arm stays locked. You're just going to slowly move your nose or your head position up or down the bowstring. So you're not only going to be more accurate, your sight tapes are going to seem like they're more dialed in. So that's our preferred method of how to set that. We talked a little bit earlier about setting your peep height to maximize distance. If your peep sight's set really high, you're going to get more distance and range out of your sight. However, the problem with that, if your peep set too high and I slide your sight down, you'll see a lot of guys have to come up off the bowstring to see through that peep sight. So you'll get more range, but you're going to probably lose some accuracy and consistency at distance there. So there's a lot to cover on this topic, guys. So if you have any questions, comment down below in the video. Let us know your thoughts. If you're struggling with that, comment there. Me and John will go through, read the comments. We'll answer those questions for you. Rather than that, that's our preferred method to set a peep sight and how to use a slider properly. We do appreciate the feedback on the channel. Hopefully the content that you guys are seeing you really like and appreciate. So give us a thumbs up, hit like, subscribe, notifications. We are going to be doing a giveaway once we hit 1,000 subscribers on the channel. It'll be an awesome giveaway. So to get entered, the only thing I do is if you're one of the first 1,000 people that have followed us on this channel, you're automatically going to get entered for the giveaway once we hit 1,000. So stay tuned in for that. And remember to get wild.